Hello everyone, Patrick here with Patrick Glenn Nichols Muscle Car Barn Finds, and I'm out here in the southwestern part of Tennessee with another really special 1970 Chevelle, an original owner, original paint, original transmission, original engine car that I'd like to bring to you today. It's been parked here in this location for 41 years. This car was driven every day for the first 10 years of its life. A really nice example of a car that's been taken well care of and actually enjoyed as well. So we will do a total walk around video of this car, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. The car is Fathom Blue with white stripes. Back up here and let you see, you can see the original squared off stripes. It was known by the Kansas City, Missouri and the Arlington, Texas assembly plants. This is an Arlington, Texas assembled 70 Chevelle, and it has the stripes where the stencil met the freehand, which we've been over before with the assembly line, where the stencil, it was freehand by the assembly plant worker, and you can see that right there where the stick with the stencil met the freehand. It was purchased new, not far from here, at Argyle Graves in Milan, Tennessee. Still in the original owner's possession and been off the road roughly 40 years. It was driven the first 10 years of its life. Original paint. We'll go all the way around the car in this garage the best that we can and show you this car. All 5 original wheels are here, along with these super hard to find, we've been over before, lug nuts with the tall cap, which has a stainless steel cap that goes over a actual lug nut. Really hard to find. Like I've said before, those are worth about $100 a piece. The tires are not original. All those Goodyear Eagle STs you can no longer get. They've been discontinued about 30 years themselves. Original paint, never been in an accident. And let's look at the passenger side of the car, and I'll do my best, like I say in previous videos, to give you the best idea of this car. Original carpet car, like we've also been over before, that has this 6-inch gap and under the seat as well, which you can see right there. It's the original bench seat shifter and shifter ball, which is a 2-piece assembly with the shifter pattern on the shifter ball. So if it's a console car, that shifter pattern would be on the console. Since it's a bench seat car with no console, of course, then the shifter pattern is on the shifter ball. This car comes with no gauges. It has the idiot lights and just an AM radio. But the majority of the interior is in exceptionally good shape for a car that has 137,000 miles. Now, it's easy to take care of a car if all it's ever done is sit in a garage. But really the test is see who can drive one of these cars and take care of it too and leave it original. And this is 100% original paint, an original engine, trans, and rear axle. We'll come to the front and show you the front of the car. I'll do my best to try to show you where the stencil met the freehand right there, and you can see where the tape met, and there. And somewhere along in its life, the owner of this car explained to me that his grandfather backed into the hood of the car, and he's now proud that he did not fix the car because it's such an original car that would disturb some of the originality. It's a SS 396 350 horse car, 350 horsepower. A little over 50,000 of those were made, but they're super hard to find today. One really important thing is a car that's driven 137,000, and at the lower part of these fenders and doors, are just simply fabulous. And around the wheel lips where it always seems to bubble and rust, excellent. Now this is what you call a survivor that has been driven. You don't see many of those. Most survivors, or super survivors, are very low mileage cars that have been sitting for the majority of their life. This car has 137,000 miles and shows up very well. And the original manufactured by General Motors decal still in the door. And I'll do my best here and show you the driver's side of this jewel. Original steering wheel, original pedals, the clutch pad and the brake pad are still original. And $38,000, just a little over. So 138,000 mile original. Bench seat, 4-speed, pretty much what you would call a base super sport with very few options actually. The D88, RPO D88 hood and deck stripes is an option. But aside from that, this is pretty much a base super sport. And it's a late built car, June of '70. I'll do some shots in the trunk area now. You can see another thing is the large version of the jacking instructions. It's really neat. It's a really good example of that. And the original spatter paint in the trunk. Beautiful. And we spoke about before, the Arlington assembly plant used the red oxide primer. They were the only ones generally that did that. And they're known for that. And you can see that here as well. They were known to dip the whole body into that primer. Spatter in the trunk is just beautiful. Original matte as well. Another thing that's really tough to find is the general spare tire to this car. They do not reproduce the general tire. The Firestone and the Goodyear version is reproduced, but the General is not. That spare tire is worth upwards towards $1,500 or even more for that tire and wheel alone. And matter of fact, I'll put my money where my mouth is. If he'll sell that tire and wheel to me for $1,500, I'll take it. But I know he will not. Super hard to find tire and wheel. Generally, they have to be pieced together one at a time. You see the original inspection crayon marks on the trunk weather stripping. And beautiful deck lid with zero rust. I've got the correct barrel nuts on the Chevelle by Chevrolet emblem. Hard to find as well. Most of this stuff is always incorrect. 138,000 miles, one owner. Not many people can say that they bought a '70s Chevelle brand new, still own it, and never painted it or restored it. This is exactly that. Now I'll lift the hood now, and we'll address some features under the hood as well. Beautiful squared off stripes. Again, only the Arlington, Texas and Kansas City, Missouri assembly plants were noted for squaring the stripes off on both sides. Most of the time, they were rounded on the outer edges and pointed in the center. Now let's look under the hood where majority of everything under here is original as well. See, we've talked about before the plastic inner fenders for the Arlington, and they have their particular version, and they are correct on this car. They do not have the left hand and right hand molded into the plastic. It does appear that the individual that owns the car taped off these decals and resprayed the radiator top plate at some point. But one interesting fact is these stickers are flip-flopped. A lot of times the cooling decal is over here where you fill the radiator, and the emission decal is over on this side. So that's a little fun fact as well. Its original engine to this car dated, the assembly date to the engine is May the 12th, 1970. And the build date of this car, of course, which I'll run over the cow tag in just a second, is June of 70. Let's see if we can focus on it now. Right there. 70 for 1970, 13637, two-door hardtop. And then BT for the Arlington, Texas assembly plant designation. And then I believe that's a 38287 will be the body number. And then 790 for white ivory bench seat interior. Code 28 for Fathom Blue lower. Code 28 for Fathom Blue upper. And then 068 for the first week of June 1970, and those other figures are data figures for the Arlington, Texas assembly plant. This has the original carburetor. You can see the original master cylinder we have touched on before. The valve covers are original flash chrome examples. The correct version on this side with the wire loom in front of the bolt. The correct holder, the loom for the temperature unit. It goes into the cylinder head. And I will lift the air cleaner now and show you under here. That's the original Quadrajet, which is 7040205. Most 70 Chevelle enthusiasts understand that's the hardest, the most valuable Quadrajet to find. Not sure I can focus on the date, but you see the 7040205, and the date is the 117th day of 1970. If you do the math on that, that's somewhere in about the middle of April 1970, which definitely coincides with a June built 70 Chevelle first week that we just said. Another really interesting feature here is on the assembly date of this engine is May of 1970. Okay, so that means that all of these engine parts, the casting dates, the cylinder heads, and the intake, and the engine block all have to be cast before the date the engine was built. So if it was built on May the 12th, then these parts must be cast before May the 12th. You can see most 70 Chevelle enthusiasts understand that the 287 intake, which we're looking at, which is the cast iron version for the Quadrajet, did not have the numbers cast into the runners. You see the 1 and the 3. That's generally for a 71 and up. But if you look and focus on the date, which is back here, you can see right there, that's a D2770, which would be D for April the 27th of 70, which is correct. So that was cast the 27th of April, which is before, of course, May the 12th. Very interesting little fun fact there. Most people would think that intake is incorrect because of the runners. It is definitely correct. The engine has been rebuilt. As you can see, the engine paint is too nice to be 49 years old, but it's still the original engine. Still has the original hoses. The upper radiator hose is original. The original fan, the original DU coated upper fan pulley is still present. And the heater hoses are original as well, with the ribbed hoses and tower clamps. It's on and on and on. This car is a really exceptional survivor car. Very few things have gotten away from it. And another little thing we spoke about before is you can see this has the later version of the standard Super Sport dome hood because of the large opening for the firewall, for the fire insulation, hood insulation. On an early version, this will be much smaller, different gap, different opening for the hood insulation. So this is the later version, which definitely coincides with a June built 70 Chevelle. It's the way it goes. When things are right and things are not taken apart and are taken care of, things just add up. This car runs with no problem. Parked here for the last 41 years. Driven every day for the first 10 years of its life. Driven to work and back. And it's racked up 138,000 miles. Like I said earlier, anybody can park one and store it away. But who can drive one and keep one nice? That's the real test. And this guy has done that. Explained to me that the front windshield has been changed. There has been a few minor changes here and there, but for the most part, this is a really excellent example of an original car and how you take care of a car, it will last. This car has never been parked outside, so that's a big factor in itself. Although it was driven the first 10 years of its life, it's never seen or been parked outside. One more shot of the under the hood, and I'll go around the car one more time. And quickly I will let you take a gander at the original build sheet. And like I said, this is generally a standard built Super Sport. You see the last 6 of the VIN. Lower blue, upper blue. 396 M20 transmission, standard. Hood and deck stripes is pretty much the main option of the car, and the protective plate is here as well. Really nice car. Parked in this location for 41 years and driven the first 10 years of its life. And then the rest of the time it's just been recreational to car shows or cruises or whatever. One more time in the trunk. Please excuse a glare from the sun and the wheel and tire that I'd love to have, but it must remain with this car. nice car. I'm Patrick Glenn Nichols with Patrick Glenn Nichols Muscle Car Barn Finds. If you have a 70 Chevelle you need assistance with authenticating, you may reach out to me at pnichols26@yahoo or Patrick Glenn Nichols Muscle Car Barn Finds on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for watching. More videos on the way.